your game.
And some of
Recording in
them might have actually, maybe they did see Sam interview us a couple of years ago.
Yes.
We've known Sam quite a while. She interviewed us on her podcast maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, quite a while ago.
Sam is an award-winning speaker. She's a social media educator. She's got the podcast creation, and she's a digital marketing specialist. Together, her and her husband, Greg, you'll probably meet here, run a company called Oxano Global, and they work exclusively with direct sellers to attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers using social media. Over the past 11 years, their workshops, social media challenges, and industry-curated courses have helped more than 385,000 direct sellers globally take their business to the next level. It's this kind of impact that has led them to be named the best on social media 2023 by the Direct Selling Association of America. Today, Sam will be sharing current strategies that are easily and immediately implementable, no matter how much experience you've got in your business or in the online space in general. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Sam Hines.
How exciting to be here with you all. Now, I'm going to ask a little favor. I want to keep the lights up because I want to be able to see all of you guys through this presentation. We're going to be having a bit of fun together. Is that okay? Yes, you guys seem like a super fun crowd. Now, I am going to just throw it out there. I was a little mad at Darren and Mike when they told me that I had to follow Rob and Jay. That didn't seem fair. Does that seem fair? So after having a little think about this and had a chat with the amazing Phoebe, and we decided that I'm going to be the icing on the cake today, right? And so I am going to talk about cakes, and we're going to talk about sweet things, and we're going to have some fun together, and there'll even be chocolate involved, right? But before we get there, I want to start with something very important, and that is I just want to set a little bit of context around what we're going to be talking about today. Because I am here to talk to you about social media, and I am here to give you tools and action items and steps to grow your businesses. But I want to be very clear about something. That doesn't start with tools. It doesn't start with technology. It doesn't start with being more tech savvy. It starts with you. And I want to introduce you to a little concept I call humanology. Now, this is a word I made up. I'm proud of this word. Maybe someone else has used it before, but I'm going to claim it. This word, to me, means that combination between utilizing these tools, not to replace you, but to enhance the best of who you already are. We have seen a huge rise in technology, AI. Social media is changing every single day. And people are constantly coming to me and saying, how do I be better at technology? How do I be more tech savvy? Or they use words I never want to hear come out of any of your mouths, I'm not tech savvy. And they're saying this while they're on a smartphone that they've taught themselves to use, because let's face it, most of us in this room did not grow up with a mobile device at our fingertips. Or they're on a webinar that they managed to get to. And to me, that says you already are tech savvy. But humanology is about you using these tools to enhance you, not replace you. I don't want to see you spending more unnecessary time on social media. What I do want to see you doing is using it effectively to connect and reach your dream customers. And that starts with you. I'm going to tell you something I know for absolute certain. Every single one of you already has everything you need within you and around you to achieve everything you want to achieve. Now, sorry guys, we're going to go back a little step here. I don't know what happened there. jumping ahead on me. So there's two slides here. I just want to quickly share these with you. Does anyone know what these two slides have in common? First one here, second one here.
Pew, pew, pew. Hula, pa, 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 pa. Pew, pew, pew.
Now, I'm all for cute babies all day long, but does anyone know what those two slides have in common? They're deep fakes. Now, the second one just here, the video we just saw, I have got an 18-month-old daughter. Anyone got young kids? I've seen a few floating around here. Anyone had young kids? You know that a 1-year-old doesn't walk down a catwalk like that, right? These are deep fakes. This second one, I'll come back to this one here. This is a picture of the Pope, God rest his soul, wearing Prada. Now, this caused quite the kerfuffle with the people that had been donating to the Catholic Church asking, where is our money going? And of course, an archbishop had to stand up and make a statement saying the Pope does not get around in Prada jackets. These are what we call deep fakes. And in a world of disruption, trust is now more important than it has ever been before, but it is harder to earn. And yet, we all know, because hopefully you've all heard this many times, and you're going to hear this many more times as you connect with me, people buy from those they like, know, and trust. So that leads me to why I'm here. I have come all the way from Australia, a little tiny island down the bottom of Australia called Tasmania. Now, Tasmania is in its winter. It's 0 degrees, it's freezing cold, and literally ice every morning when we get up. So I was quite happy to be here with all of you guys today. Are there any other Aussies in the house here? Hey, I heard there might have been. All right. Was there a Tasmanian here? Hobart. Wow, I come all the way across the world and there's someone from my hometown. Sydney, I love it. The Aussies are right at the front here. So as soon as I said to Darren and Mike, are there any Aussies here? They went, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. It's like, they know. Okay, so let me just really quickly share a story with you guys. I just want to quickly talk to you about how it is that I ended up here, because like I said, people buy from those they like, know and trust. And a lot of people ask me, Sam, why do you specialise just in this industry? What an interesting industry to have chosen. And I didn't. This industry chose me. So I want to quickly share a story with you. When I was 6 years old, through a series of events, my dad and I ended up living together. I moved in with my dad. My dad was a workaholic entrepreneur. He'd never done a basket of laundry in his life, didn't know how to cook a thing, and suddenly he had a 6-year-old daughter to look after. Now, my dad and I literally learned to do life together. We learned how to cook, how to clean, how to do the laundry, and we went on many adventures, and we became best friends. But my dad, being the workaholic entrepreneur he was, who was always on the verge of bankruptcy and always looking for the next get-rich-quick scheme, was constantly on struggle street. The anxiety and the stress that my dad felt was overwhelming. He used to come home at night and he never met anyone after my mum, so I was also his shoulder to lean on. And he would come home at night and he would tell me everything that was worrying him. From he was concerned about he didn't know how we were going to pay for groceries this week, to how were we going to pay for the mortgage next month. And I vividly remember the day that I was sitting on the couch next to him watching TV, and an ad for house insurance came on. Now, anyone who has seen an ad for house insurance knows that they don't sell insurance through butterflies and rainbows. It's fear-based. So I turned to my dad and I said, Dad, we do have house insurance, right? To which he said, don't be ridiculous. How on earth could I afford that? That was the moment I knew that I needed to do something. I was 13 at this stage, nearly 14 years old, and there was another problem that had arisen. At 13, nearly 14, if I wanted to fit in, I needed to, because this was the 90s, anyone remember this time, own my own pair of Levi jeans and Doc Martens shoes, right? But I wasn't going to ask Dad for those things because I knew that if I did ask Dad for those things, he was going to go out of his way to make it happen, and he just simply couldn't afford it. So I decided to look for another way, and I started hunting for some work, a way to bring in some financial income to help support my dad. At 14 years old, I was not yet legally employable in Australia, and so that option was out. I tried for a little while, standing on a street corner selling our spare bedroom, renting it out. I swear I was way ahead of the Airbnb time, but we lived in the middle of the country and we had maybe 2 cars a day come past our house, so that flopped. And then I found an industry that didn't care about my age, it didn't care about my experience, my technical ability, it didn't care about who I was. It was willing to bring me into the fold and make me part of the family. And that's when I started my first ever direct selling business at 14 years old. This was an amazing time for me because I learned more skills in this time than I would for the rest of my career. Because this industry taught me that we all have a place. But it also showed me how to bring out the best in who I already was, rather than making me feel like I needed to be something that I wasn't yet. By the time I was 16 years old, I was earning an income that most 16-year-olds could only ever dream of, an income that had surpassed my dad's, and I had the latest pair of Doc Martens shoes and Levi jeans. But then when I turned 18, my dad sat me down and he said, "Sam, it's time, you need to go out and get yourself a real job." I was very annoyed at him about this because to me, I had my career. I'd built a big business. I was one of the top 10 consultants in Australia in the company that I was with. And the income I was earning was only growing. But I'm really grateful today that he did move me out because I got to learn how to combine what I already knew from this industry with sales, marketing, and eventually digital technology. After a series of events, I ended up working in the marketing field with one of the top print marketing companies in Australia for over 11 years. And through using these relationship building skills that you guys get to use every single day, I moved very quickly to the top of the company and I was put in charge and responsible for training over 200 staff all over the world. But I couldn't tell them why what I knew was so different to what everyone else in sales and marketing knew because no one understood this industry. Eventually, after a period of time, I saw the rise in digital marketing and knew that I needed to do something. I needed to start sharing my knowledge with people, and my heart really wanted to come back to the very industry that had got me to that point in the first place. And so after a number of years of running my own company, teaching digital marketing and social media, I came back to this industry 6 years ago and I said, this is where my heart is and this is where I'm going to serve. And Greg and I get to travel literally all over the world and with our beautiful family as well. I know what it's like to be a parent in business, trying to balance it all. We've got 5 beautiful kids. This just pictures 4 of them. We've actually now also got an 18-month-old. And then, of course, my husband, Greg. Now, I want to really quickly take a moment to do an exercise with you guys. It looks like you're pretty open to doing exercises and being pretty trusting, right? So, what I'd like you to do is we're going to do a little visualization exercise, and I want you to just take everything off your lap. So if you've got anything in your hand, anything on your lap, I'd like you to take that off for me. And if you can get your feet flat on the floor, uncross your legs if they're crossed, unless it's inappropriate, you know what I mean, you're good. No one's watching. Only I can see, and it's fine. So, I want you to take a nice deep breath in for me, and out, and then close your eyes. Now, I want you to picture yourself right now at New Year's Eve of 2025. It's about to tick over to the year 2026. See where you are. Look at your surroundings. How are you celebrating the end of this year? Put yourself in this place. Are you at a glitzy, glamorous party? Are you at a barbecue with family and friends? Are you in your living room with loved ones? What are you wearing as you stand there? Have you got a favourite drink in your hand? Really put yourself in this place and see yourself celebrating the winding up of one year and the moving into the next. As you picture this place, you look up at the wall and you see the clock tick, tick, ticking closer to midnight. And as you look at that clock, it occurs to you, you're about to leave 2025 behind. But it also occurs to you, this has been a very special year because this year you achieved something very close to your heart, a goal that you set back in June of 2025. Something that when you set that goal felt really scary and you weren't even sure if you were going to be able to achieve it, but you stand here in this moment, staring at that clock and realizing something. You did it. You did it. It's done. You turn to your left and you catch the eyes of someone special to you and they give you a knowing smile because the both of you know just what this means. That you did it on your terms. You also know that because you achieved this goal, there's a ripple effect. Other people that are going to be impacted by you stepping up and stepping out into all that you were put here to be and saying, it's my time. It is done. What's that goal that you achieved? What does it feel like to know you've done it? And who else is it impacting? Family, friends, those connected with you. But what about the customers whose lives you're changing? What about the team whose lives you're changing? What about the people you'll never get to meet that are a result of the ripple effect of you stepping up and achieving this goal, which is now done? As you take a little moment to reflect on this, I want you to open your eyes, and on the piece of paper that you have, if you're taking notes or in your phone, I want you to write down, what was that goal? And I want you to think about how. A very good friend of mine, Keith Abraham, says, when the why becomes clear, the how becomes easy. Forget about the how. Right now, I want you to write down what that goal was and the first 3 things you felt when you knew you'd achieve that goal. Now, I'm not here today to give you more knowledge. I'm not here today to give you more information. What I am here today to do is help you put things into implementation. Because knowledge isn't power, it's only potential power. And it's not until we use that knowledge that we get the game-changing benefits of it. Why do I start with this exercise? I start with this exercise because if you show up on social media without clear acknowledgement of why you're doing it, you're not going to, you're literally going to be wasting your time. Your goal is critical to everything that you're doing online. Ask yourself, when I post this post, is this moving the needle towards me getting that goal or achieving what it is that I'm here to achieve? Is this part of my value system? Is this part of who I am and what I'm doing? Or am I just posting for the sake of it? I also want you to make a deal with me today. At the end of this presentation or the end of this event, I want you to write down 3 things on that piece of paper. Not 1, not 2, but 3 things on that piece of paper that you're going to implement within the next 24 to 48 hours. Don't be tempted to write more because you won't do it. And don't write things that are too hard to achieve. Make sure that they're things that you absolutely can do in the next 24 hours and do them. Can you guys promise me that? Yes? Okay. It doesn't even have to be something I say. It could be something Jay said, or something Rob said, or just an epiphany you had during this event that you were inspired to do. So, as we move through this training, I want to talk to you a little bit about also the fears that hold us back from social media success. Now, the participation from you isn't done because I want to ask you all to do something else for me now. I'm going to go through the 4 fears that hold us back. And Greg and I have trained hundreds of thousands of people sitting in a seat, just like you guys, wanting to know, how do I use social media to grow my business? And when I ask them why they're not, they'll tell me one of these 4 things. So here's what I want to know. I'm going to ask you if you've ever experienced or are currently experiencing any of these fears. And if the answer is yes, I've felt that or I'm currently feeling that, I want you to stand up out of your seat and just stay there, but don't sit down until the end. You ready? First one's this. Have any of you ever or currently afraid of pestering family and friends? And don't show up on social media because you're worried about hounding and hassling people. Stand up if this is familiar to you. Okay, stay standing for me. Next one is this. Have any of you felt like social media can be wasting time and getting no results? Stand up if that's you and stay standing. This is the one where it's like I'm doing everything I've been told to do. I've learned all the things that I'm being taught. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and waiting to see what sticks, and nothing's working, so clearly something's wrong with me. All right, so if that's you, stand up. Next one is this. This is a big one. Who's afraid of failure? Stay standing, don't sit down if you've stood up for any of these. Who's afraid of failure? What if I get it wrong? I don't want to show up on social media until I've got it right, until I know exactly what to put up. And comparison. That looks a little bit like that Darren and Mike. They know exactly how to do a video. I don't know how to show up on camera as well as them. And so you do one of two things. You either start to pretend to be Darren and Mike and mimic other people, or you don't show up at all. So if you've ever been a little bit of afraid of, I need to be more like other people and less like me in order to be successful, stand up. Stay standing. Last one is this. If you're still sitting, stand up if you currently feel or have ever felt when it comes to social media, overwhelmed. I just don't know where to start. There is so much going on, and every time I do anything, it changes on me. What to do next? Right. Now, if you're still sitting right now, that's totally fine, but I want to point something out. Those still sitting are the minority. Turn around and look around the room right now. Here's what's interesting. Most people that experience one or all of these feel like they're the minority. How many of you, hands up if you're standing, feel like you're a bit on your own and other people don't feel what you feel? Yeah. You guys can grab your seats again, thank you. Here's the thing. I totally know where you're coming from because I've been there in all of these places, and vast majority of people have also been in all of these places. Was anyone all of those things? A few of you guys? Here's what I want to talk to you about today. It is not about getting it right. It isn't about knowing everything. What it is about is being present over perfect, because at the other end of that computer, at the other end of that mobile device, at the other end of that tablet, or whatever it is that is being used, is a human being. And guess what? So are you, and you know how to connect with humans. I know all of you do. So it's not about being more tech savvy. It's about being more human, being present over perfect. And humans don't connect with technology. They connect with humans that are real and relatable and make them feel like they belong. So I want to encourage you today. You've just had two incredible speakers come and talk to you about self-talk, confidence, but most of all, being you, because you already have everything that it takes. Authenticity is the key here. I love this quote by the late Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start in order to be great. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on social media in 2025, because I'm sure you all want to know, why is my stuff not actually getting seen, or how do I get better results? What's the latest? Well, in order for me to talk to you about that, I want to make a very important statement. Facebook doesn't work anymore. That's right. If you're doing any of the following things. If you are broadcasting and selling, I'm going to do some demonstrations later on to help you understand where I'm coming from as I share these things. The next one is posting links. This is a really tough one because a lot of you think that you need to be posting links on your posts in order to be seen, but Meta, who overarch Facebook and Instagram, have made it very clear. We don't show links anymore. Does this mean you can't share links? No. It just means that you need to be more strategic about how you do it. In fact, 99% of all posts delivered in their latest transparency report globally did not contain a link. Why? Because they don't want people leaving Facebook. And so it's not in their best interest to show those links to other people. The next one is overposting. I see a lot of people going, well, it's not working. I'm not getting in front of people, so I'm just going to post more often. That doesn't change much. The next one is uninvited connects and reach outs. I don't think this was ever really in. How many of you get those LinkedIn reach outs? Anyone on LinkedIn? it's my pet peeve, is when someone connects with you and you're like, oh, waiting for it. Are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? Bam, there it is. There's that post straight in my inbox selling me something before they've even asked how I'm doing. Uninvited connects and reach outs before we've earned the right to do it. And there's a process. We're going to talk to you about dating them and the importance of earning the right to sell. The other one is, and this is a really controversial one. I've had people literally pull me up when I say this one, but I want to be very clear about what I mean when I say this. Personal profiles. People connect with you on your personal profile because they care about you. They friend requested you or you accepted the friend request because you have a connection. They care about you, which means they want to know what's going on in your world. They don't want your business rammed down their throat. That doesn't mean that we can't talk about our business. Is a personal profile a great place to promote your business? Absolutely. But there's a right way to do it. The last one that I want to talk about, and I did mention this, I want to be very clear here. I said Facebook doesn't work anymore if you're doing any of those things. But the bottom line is it is still the lowest hanging fruit and the easiest place for you to connect with, reach people and grow your business. It's estimated that there's more than 3 billion people using at least one Meta app every day. The opportunity is huge. So how do we use it effectively? This is where I get to talk to you about the algorithm. Now, I want to know where you guys are at with this. I'm going to explain it to you all, and I want to talk to you about what's going on with it right now and a few very key changes that I believe are going to impact all of you in the room, already are impacting all of you in the room. But from a scale of 1 to 3, 3 being, you can't teach me much about this, Sam, I'm an expert with the algorithm, I know everything there is to know, to 2 being, I know it exists, I know roughly what it is, but I don't really understand exactly how it works and I'd like to know more. And 1 being, I'd never heard of the word algorithm until you just said it. So if you're a 1, hands up. Okay, 2, 3. Okay, we've got a bunch of people that have hands that don't work. Let's try again. 1s. If you've got a hand that works, put your hand up if you're a 1. 2s, that's better. 3s, okay. I love it when we do the 3, they're like, I don't feel like I should say anything. All right, let's talk a bit about the algorithm. I want to give you guys a little bit of background here. I'm going to take you on a history lesson for a moment. In 2009, Facebook recognized that it had a problem. It was becoming a very busy place. And businesses had cottoned onto the fact that they had a captive audience on this platform and they were actively promoting products, services and business opportunities through personal profiles because back then there was no such thing as a business page. And everything was still in chronological order, so you saw it in the order in which it was posted. Facebook was worried because they were losing users in droves. It had become a very spammy environment. And what had happened was not long around this time, MySpace had kind of, remember MySpace? You remember MySpace? Kind of dropped off the planet, right? And Facebook's going, ooh, we don't want to go down that road, so we really need to adapt and become smarter. And so they did 2 things. Number 1 was that they implemented business pages to segment the content. But number 2 was they brought into play a program that operates in the background of Facebook called the algorithm. Now let me be clear, there is an algorithm for every social media platform. You use and most websites and many. It learns things like who you're friends with, what sort of conversations you have with those friends, what you do for a living, what sort of car you drive, how many kids you have, how old they are, if you have a pet, and even your household income. It takes all of this information and it uses it to deliver you more of the things it knows you want to see with the intention of keeping you on the platform for longer and more frequently. So to put it into really simple terms, your Facebook feed, your Instagram feed, your LinkedIn feed, your Twitter X feed, your Google feed, your YouTube feed, and many more are customized to you like a fingerprint. There are no 2 the same and they were made for you and you alone. Now, why I bring this up is because everything you put out there is getting filtered by this. So every time you hit post, even every time you run an ad, it is getting filtered, and that algorithm is deciding, are we going to show this? And if we are, who are we going to show it to? Now, you might hear a lot of language floating around the place, things like, I'm going to show you how to beat the algorithm, and we're going to get around the algorithm. And I want a red flag to go up if you ever hear that, because you're talking about tricking one of the most sophisticated pieces of technology in existence. But when you use the algorithm to your advantage and you give it what it wants, it will do the hard work for you. So, question is, what does it want, right? Well, we'll talk about that. But just before we do, I want to mention another change. Users, you guys, the way people use the platforms has significantly changed. Have you ever decided to look at a reel? One reel. And you scroll through, and then half an hour later you pull yourself out of the rabbit hole and you go, well, where did that time go? But ask yourself, think back to the last time you did that. How many of those posts did you comment on or interact with? And if you didn't comment on any of them, does that mean they didn't get your attention? Once upon a time, I would have stood up here and told you what one of the best indicators of success on social media was engagement. I won't tell you that anymore, because people have become much more passive in the way that they use social media. Let's have a look at a few other things that have changed. Users spend over 50% of their time on video. No great surprise there. Most videos, 85% of them, are viewed without sound, which means our videos need to grab their attention enough to make them run out of the toilet and turn the sound back on. So I'm just testing if you guys are awake. That or no one gets my Australian sense of humour. The Aussies get it. But we need our videos to be understood, either understood without sound or interesting enough that they want to turn the sound back on. The next one is this. This sounds really sinister, but it's not, I can promise you. Dark shares are up by over 50% on last quarter. What's a dark share? A dark share, so if you remember once upon a time when someone liked a piece of content, they would click share and it would share to their profile. Well, a dark share is when someone says, I like that piece of content, and they share it privately through Messenger, text, email, whatever it might be. And that's virtually untrackable, which means to a degree we don't actually know how our content is necessarily being consumed. Something you'll hear me say a lot is just because they're not interacting does not mean they're not watching. Show up anyway. And then the last one here is that 500 million people, I wanted to bring this one up because I think a lot of people are not using stories as much as they could be and potentially should be. Stories are the best real estate right now. They're right at the top of the feed. And more than 5 million people are using stories every day and growing. Now, another big shift I want to talk to you about. Many of you, all of you in the room probably have noticed this one and maybe haven't even realised. But I want to talk to you about making the most of unconnected distribution. 2 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg made the statement that he wanted to change the way people receive content and he wanted to reward people for creating great quality content. And so up until that point, you saw things on Facebook or Instagram for one of 4 reasons. Reason 1 was you were a friend with that person. Number 2 was you followed a business page. Number 3 was you were in a group. And number 4 was you were being targeted with an advert. But he decided to add a 5th in, unconnected distribution. Unconnected distribution now makes up approximately 36% of all of your content. This is from the latest transparency report directly from Facebook. And what this means is Facebook is saying when you do a good job of your content, when you deliver content that your audience wants to see, we will for free show it to up to 36% more people outside of your existing networks and connections. This is a massive opportunity. Adverts are a brilliant tool to use, but here's the thing. You can pay Facebook or Instagram to deliver your content, but you cannot pay people to click on it. So if you haven't worked out how to get people's attention, how to deliver content your audience actually wants to see, and how to be human, real, and relatable, then paying for it's not going to make much difference, is it? So I want you to understand the value of both. Organic content is powerful, and you've got an amazing opportunity to reach people that you don't yet know, just by delivering content that they care about. I want to give you a little example of this. This is a post that we create. We do this frequently in our trainings. And we did this one recently. This is the exact post that we did. Took us 2 minutes, and we did the demonstration live. It's what we call a 2-step lead magnet post. It's really super simple to do. We gave templates to our students. We shared with them exactly what to do. And we had about 300 people on this training while I was delivering it. So I was doing the whole thing live. I was videoing myself, and I was saying, click here, do this, do this, do this. Took 2 minutes. We delivered it. Within 24 hours, the post we created had generated for us over 185 qualified leads for our business. Now you might go, well, that's all great, Sam, you know what you're doing and you've got an audience. Well, maybe, but of the people that were in that training, almost 200 of them within 24 hours had also generated leads, some of them in the hundreds, within 24 hours. So it can be done. It is simply understanding how and where and when to provide value. So I want to give you guys right now some tips for creating content that they literally can't ignore. And the first tip I can give you is very cryptic. You're going to want to have your pen and paper out for this one. It's inserting your personality. User-generated content, also known as UGC, if you want to get technical about it, is what Facebook and Instagram and all of the platforms actually are favouring and asking for. These are posts that you create, photos you take, captions you write, and that are authentically you. Now, I just want to take a little pause for a moment. If it's really okay, I need to just take a sec to do something. I'm just going to, Greg, have you got that thing for me? Oh, thank you. Guys, look, I'm going to continue in a sec, but I need to make a sale. Is that okay? Yeah. Thank you. All right. I'm just going to take that one for now. Thanks. Okay, so guys, just really quickly, I need to sell you something. This is a bag of coffee. This is the best coffee in the whole world. If you don't like coffee, don't worry, you'll love this. Trust me. This coffee will not only give you more energy, but it'll make you look younger and more attractive. I recently gave it to my husband, Greg, and I think it's working. It will also cure any ailment that you have. Now, this coffee would normally be $30, but today, I'm going to do you a very special deal. Today and today only, you can buy this coffee from me for $29.95. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it just here. And if anyone wants to buy my coffee, you don't even need to come to me. You can just leave your money there, a link, and buy the coffee. Any takers? What? Like no one wants to buy my coffee? Okay, there are 2 crazy people in the room. Here's the thing. We'll come back to that. Moving on for a little moment. I want to talk to you about USP. Has anyone heard of unique selling proposition? Any marketers in the room will know this back to front. Unique selling proposition is something that when anyone works with a company as a marketer, it is their job to establish this at the very beginning of working with them, because all of the marketing and branding and promotion should centre around your unique selling proposition. This is the thing that makes you stand out, that makes you different and unique from all of your competitors. Now, you may have heard this before if you are looking at marketing yourself and growing your business. but I want to change it up because I don't believe in this industry it's about having a unique marketing, a unique selling proposition, because that indicates it's about the product or the business. But that's not what you're selling. At least not yet. What are you actually selling? Greg, are you floating around somewhere? Have you got your running shoes on? Yeah? Nope. Greg, I want to do a little prize here. Can anyone tell me what you're selling? Yell it out. Someone over here, hands up, just so I can. What are you selling? Feeling? No, close. In the white shirt? Thank you. You are selling you.
We're selling ourselves, thank
People buy from those. Greg, you're going to have to come over here.
Well, I've already got one over here.
Run really fast.
Where?
This beautiful lady just here in it, she's standing up in a cream. Oh, she's dressed like you, Greg. You're selling you. You are not selling your product, you are not selling your business opportunity, you're not selling a training or a webinar, you are selling you. Because it's not until they like, know or trust you that they're going to buy anything that you have. And you are no different. Isn't it funny that we treat people or expect people to behave differently to the way that we behave when we're buying from people? So I don't believe it's about your unique selling proposition, because what they're actually buying is you. What I believe USP stands for now in 2025 in the direct selling industry is unique story perspective. It's your unique story perspective. That's what they want. So I want to ask you all a question. Now I'm going to frame this first. This is hypothetical. So I don't want to see anyone rocking in the back corner of the room, hyperventilating when I ask this question, okay? Here's the question. If you had to give up one of the following and you could only keep one of these two things for the rest of your days on this earth, remember it's hypothetical, which of them would you choose? All right, coffee people, hands up. Where were you 5 minutes ago? Isn't that interesting that we assume that the reason people are not joining us or buying from us or coming on board with us is because they don't want what we have? I have coffee lovers in the room. It's not the product that's the problem. It's because I made it about the product that is the problem. Chocolate people, hands up. Okay. Coffee people, you guys can play on your phones or something for a minute, because I just want to talk to my chocolate friends for a moment. Is that okay? I love you all, but just for now, I'm talking to my chocolate buddies. You see, you and I have something in common, because I too love chocolate, but not just any chocolate. I love great chocolate, and I love to adventure with my chocolate. I like to try new and different things. Now, a few years ago, I met a special new friend. His name is Igor Van Gerwen, and Igor is a chocolatier, just 40 minutes up the road from where I live in a place called Latrobe. Now, Igor wanted to create something different. He wanted to create some really unique chocolate, and so he traveled the world looking for heirloom varieties of cacao. Now, as he did this, through a series of events, he found himself trekking through the mountains in Peru at an altitude far higher than any cacao tree had ever been located, and he stumbled across a plantation of 25 cacao trees. But these trees, pictured here, look completely different to any other cacao he'd ever come across. The pods were iridescent purple. And normally when you cut open a cacao pod, inside is a white sticky flesh that's quite bitter when you taste it because it's cocoa, and so it's got that bitterness you get when you have really dark chocolate. Well, when they macheted open these pods and they opened it, the flesh was yellow, not white, and it smelt of ripe bananas. He said when he tasted it, it was sweet and fruity. So he sent the pods away for testing, only to discover that they had stumbled accidentally across the purest cacao ever located anywhere in the world. This was a breed that they believed in 1919 had been completely wiped out. But the disease that had wiped these trees out didn't go as high as they were. The altitude was so high that the disease didn't survive. And these 25 trees that had been looked after by this amazing man here called Don Fortunato had lived on for almost 100 more years. So Igor paid Don to look after these trees and keep growing more of them and send the pods back to Tasmania, Australia, where he married the cocoa together with milk from local grass-fed cows and created what is considered today to be the world's rarest chocolate. Now, this chocolate, just 40 minutes up the road from me, let me tell you, is some of the most unbelievable chocolate you will ever try. It mimics that beautiful, sweet fruitiness, but it has a really high cocoa content without any bitterness at all. Aside from being incredible to eat, it's also kind of good for you, which is a big bonus. Let me ask you a question. Chocolate friends, any of you desperately want to try this chocolate? How many coffee people want to jump ship right now? Mike? That, my friends, is the power of the story. What if I told you that that coffee over there is actually from a local coffee roaster who is in a beautiful little, tiny little shop just below my office? I'm in an office that overlooks the city of Launceston in Tasmania. And every day in the afternoon, because he gets all of this amazing coffee beans sent into him, he roasts them exactly the way he wants them done. And when you go in there, you ask for the coffee exactly the way you want it, but he'll customize the bean for you. So he'll say, this bean, he remembers what you order and he knows what you like, and he will mix together what he knows is right for you. And whenever I come to America, I go down there and I say, Jason, can you make me up a bag for my friends? And he asks me about the event I'm speaking at, and I tell him, and he makes me up a special bag, and this is called the Brisbane Court Blend. So what if I told you that? Does that change anything? Does anyone now want to come up and buy my coffee? You see, guys, it's not about the product. It's about the story, the connection, and the human relatability. Now, if any of you are wondering, well, you left us kind of hanging there because you talked about this incredible chocolate, which, by the way, you actually can't buy here. So I hate to tell, how many of you were just trying to search for it? I always get, people come up to me after a convention and they don't go, hey, Sam, can I get your autograph? They go, hey, Sam, where can I get that chocolate from? Awesome. At least I did a good job of my story, right? This is Igor, and he gave us some chocolate to bring over here, but here's the thing. You have to earn it. There's a few different ways that you can earn it. One of them is by staying awake during this presentation and interacting with me. Are you all awake? Come on now. The other one is I want to give you an opportunity. 3 people are going to be chosen during this session. We're going to have a look straight afterwards when Darren and Mike come back up. And so what I want you to do is really whatever you want, because this is about you. But I want you to take a moment to either share a takeaway from this event today, something you're feeling right now, something that you're excited about being in this business for. Share a reason that's important to you. Share something that matters to you. Don't tell people what you think they need to hear in order to get them to do what you want them to do. Tell them why it matters to you. So go ahead, share something during this session, and we're going to pick 3 people. Just make sure you use the hashtag #ShowUpAnyway. But let's now talk about something I did just there between the coffee and the chocolate that was critical to this process. And as I do this, I want you to remember that absolutely everything on your social media hinges on this. And this is getting to know your audience. You notice when I sold the coffee, I sold it to everyone in the room. I said, it doesn't matter if you like coffee or not. Everyone needs this coffee. It's the best coffee in the world. But with the chocolate, I actually segmented you guys. I asked who cared, and then I spoke directly to you. Because when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So I want to give you guys right now, you might want to write this down, but I want to give you 2 golden questions. These 2 golden questions will formulate everything you do on social media. They'll formulate every activity you do in your business. But understand you won't be answering these questions immediately. These questions are questions that you will always be learning. You can learn about them through your content. You can learn about them by talking to people, would you believe? You can actually just talk to people still. The questions are these. Number one, what is keeping them up at night? Which means, what problems in life do they want to solve? What bothers them? What frustrates them? What keeps them up at night? The second question is this: what gets them up in the morning? Which means, what do they love? What do they value? What do they care about? Now notice when I said, what problems do they want to solve? I didn't say, how do you solve their problems? Because it's not about solving the problem, it's about understanding them. Because sometimes the conversation you have and the content you put out there is not solving their problem. It's simply showing up and saying, I get you, we have something in common. It establishes something we call commonality, which is a very, very important sales strategy. And when used on social media, it's very powerful. So, we've talked about the importance of attracting people, having them start to pay attention to your content, looking at your stuff and going, I want to be a part of that, I resonate with that, that's me. But I want to take a little moment to talk about the next step, and I want to do another really awkward analogy. Is that okay? Do you guys like my awkward stories? Can I give you another awkward one? Okay, I'm going to use Greg for this one. Honey, can you come up here and be really awkward for a second?
I think I can manage that.
Meet Greg, my amazing husband. Is that a bag of chocolate you've come up here with?
It is.
Okay, Greg, I'm going to get you to stand over there. This will be very uncomfortable for you. Don't go that far. That'll do. Thank you. Look at him pretending he doesn't know what I'm about to do. Now, I want you guys to be honest with me for a sec. I, twice in my life, have done this. I want to know if anyone else in the room has done this. Have you ever written out a list of attributes you're looking for in a future partner in life? A few of you. Thank you for not leaving me hanging. I've done it twice. I promise both times were before I met Greg. Like 3 people got that. So, moving on. Really should be careful about this sense of humour, shouldn't I? Not everyone understands. So, the last time I wrote this list out, I wrote things like, he needs to be tall, dark and handsome. I got tall and handsome. He needs to be confident. He needs to be social. He needs to know how to hold a conversation. I want him to be successful and career orientated. And he needs to like the things I like good food and wine. All very superficial things on my part. But let's just say for a moment that I get this list and I put it in my back pocket, and the next part's hypothetical, I never did this, but let's just say for a moment, I go to a bar and I'm on the hunt. And I've got the list in my back pocket, and I know now what I'm looking for. And as I look around the bar, I've got my wine in my hand, and I look around the room, and over to my left, I see this guy. He's tall, dark, and handsome. He's wearing a good suit, so clearly he's successful. He's surrounded by people, he's holding the conversation, so tick there. And in one hand he's holding a glass of wine, and in the other hand, as the oyster tray goes past, he reaches out and he grabs one, and I go, that's my guy, right? Now, imagine if the next thing I did was this. Hi. Will you marry me? Now, I think we can safely say Greg would have said yes.
I nearly did, just to play with you.
Yeah. But thanks, honey, you can go. But I think thanks, Greg. Give him a round of applause. Yeah.
I feel like a prop.
He's got the bag of chocolate, so applaud louder. I think we can all safely say that in a normal circumstance, there'd be a Greg-shaped hole in the wall over there. But isn't it interesting that that doesn't work in real life, and yet that's how we show up on social media? Hi, how are you? Will you buy from me? Hi, how are you? Will you join me? Hi, how are you? Will you come to my training or my webinar? Which translates to, hi, how are you? Will you marry me? We actually need to date them. So attract them first, date them second. Dating them looks like meeting them where they're at. Going on a date, getting to know them, having conversations about the two golden questions, the problems that they want to solve and the values that they have, the things that they care about. Here's a secret for you. Your customer's favourite subject is themselves and their favourite word. Every human's favourite word, as programmed since the day we entered this earth as babies, is our own name. How often are you using their name? We also need to learn to put the social back into social media because unlike old school marketing, it's not one way anymore, it is two way. And this is where I get to talk to you about cakes. I promised you I would talk to you about cake because we're the icing today, right? This is the icing session. So I want to talk to you about finding your own recipe because here's the key. There's a formula and then there's a recipe. And what a lot of people I see training on social media will do is say, here's the recipe. Do exactly as I do. Post what I post. Write what I write. Do exactly as I do. And you will get the same result I get. And I'm really sorry, but that's flawed thinking because that's that person's recipe. It works for them because they have their own dream customer. They have their own personality. They have their own skill set, and it's not the same as yours. So I want you to think about it a little bit like baking a cake. Is there one cake recipe, one and one only, or are there millions of cake recipes out there? But there's one formula. To make a cake work, you need a formula. And I want you to think about your ingredients here being your social media content. Your content is the ingredients and it can differ to the next person's, but the formula remains the same. And I want to show you how to come up with a social media recipe that's yours, that's for your dream customer, your personality, your skill set. Think about it. If you were to bake a cake and you've never baked a cake before, you're not going to start with a bomb Alaska, are you? You're going to start with something like maybe a sponge cake. We need to start not where we're at because we need to push the comfort zone. No growth happens in your comfort zone. But if you haven't done a reel yet, and you also haven't set up a personal profile before, perhaps starting with a reel isn't the right place to go. We need to start with where we're at. The other thing is that we need to serve a cake up that our target audience actually wants to eat. If I give a cake to somebody that is filled with gluten and they're gluten intolerant, it's probably not going to be a successful outcome. Likewise, I also need to think about my own personality and I need to be authentic to that. If I hate chocolate, we can't be friends. If I hate chocolate, I'm not going to make chocolate cakes. So your social media content needs to be reflective of you, your audience, your skills. All of these things come into play when it comes to your formula, and we're going to talk to you about your formula. But you also need to mix in even more ingrained. Nostalgia, because it creates a sense of we belong, we've got something in common. Little known facts and did you knows builds curiosity and intrigue. Humour and meme based because it's entertainment and everyone wants a bit of entertaining. Value, providing value is key. And then your story. Now I want to quickly show you what some of those posts are. These were the actual posts in the last quarter that Facebook reported were the most successful posts. I've narrowed them down to some that I believe are the best representation of the patterns that we're seeing. So here's your nostalgia. Here's your did you know? Taken on a mobile phone with no editing. This was the most popular video of the first quarter of 2025. So I want to take a little moment now to show you a very quick video, and I want to introduce something very exciting to you guys. Now, some of you right now might be thinking, this is great, Sam, but what do we do with all this information? How would you like Greg, myself, and our entire team to hold your hands for 5 days and walk you through 5 different post strategies that do everything we've talked about today? We're going to not only walk you through doing it, we're going to give it to you. We're going to hand you templates, we're going to give you trainings, we're going to give you the tools, and you're not just going to learn it, you're going to do it with us each day for 5 days. Does that sound great? So, what's going to happen is you guys, I believe, have already got access to everything that you need within the Dream Team portal to be able If you want to, you can grab the QR code off the screen here. But over the course of this time, I'm going to put